Well, here we are, taking a vacation in Super Mario Sunshine. We all know why I'm here. Because Princess Peach couldn't pay me fully for the rescues and offered me a chance to find treasure. The only thing I'm seeing here is shine sprites and pollution. But I may be able to use the shines and all the coins. Ended up with a new water pump toy as well. Okay, fine. Super Mario Sunshine is a Nintendo GameCube game that oddly didn't show up during the launch date, but sometime later. Seems like the GameCube was Luigi's time to shine instead. Anyway, the island is covered in pollution by a being named Shadow Mario, and he has a big paintbrush, and sadly, despite the different colors, people can't seem to tell Mario and Shadow Mario apart. With Mario in jail, it is time I come and take care of this mess. Gathering shine sprites or power suns along the way. It sounds like fun, so let's take on Shadow Mario. Warning. Spoilers. Warning.
As always, let's talk about the plot. So Mario, Princess Peach, and a few toads, including one named Toadsworth, who seems to be a royal advisor, are heading for an island resort. When the plane reaches the airport, however, there is an emergency stop due to some odd paint-like graffiti. I say paint-like because it can cause people and objects to sink into the ground, which is why there's a crater now on the airstrip. Looking around the airstrip, Mario finds Flood, a portable water pump with an awesome hover nozzle, and with it, manages to clean the mess. Out of a pile of goop, a piranha plant-like monster appears, and Mario manages to kill it, retrieving some sort of power sun? After the fight, Mario is quickly arrested. Turns out the entire island is colorblind like all hell, and can't tell Mario isn't completely blue. Despite the blue color on Shadow Mario's poster, how did that even get there if they're all colorblind? Something doesn't add up here. Oh, and shine sprites. They power the city, they're scattered due to the pollution. They are about as important as Mario's true last name. They only come up by name, and as proof, you beat something in a mission, so to speak. Mario is soon sent to clean up after Shadow Mario and clear his name. It's a large beginning for a Mario game. I'm really impressed. Okay, I'm not that impressed. I've played the game before. Anyway, there's even more plot in each world, as Shadow Mario really plays up his threat. In Bianco Hills, he buries the path to the windmill. Then Petey Piranha shows up for Mario to stop. Afterwards, Shadow Mario's spotted near a cave. A red coin mission shows up randomly in the middle of all that. Petey Piranha returns, and an entire lake is polluted due to water in a nearby cave being polluted. Then finally, you fight Shadow Mario. Is it Rico? Riku? Rako? Anyway, Rako Harbor is very similar, with Gooper Blooper and finding sources of pollution. And Gelato Beach has you helping a sandbird hatch while a giant wiggler attacks. Things are better with Pianta Park when Shadow Mario's identity is finally revealed to be Bowser Jr. Turns out the spoiled brat thinks Peach is his mother, and he kidnaps her, taking her to Corona Mountain. Yeah, Peach is only kidnapped halfway through the game instead of at the beginning. That's pretty weird, at least for a Mario title. Anyway, after all this chaos with Bowser Jr., the story amounts to helping each area out with their individual issues and stopping Shadow Mario's influence in these areas, like the electric Koopas at the park, the haunting and pollution at a hotel,
the water in Noki Bay being incredibly toxic, which takes you several missions to find the source of, and lava spewing chain chomps in a village. And after all of this, Delfino Plaza is flooded and you are able to access Corona Mountain and take on Bowser Jr. and naturally his dad in a large hot tub? The hell? Ever fight a jacuzzi before? Anyway, it is revealed that Peach didn't do the bed ritual to birth the brat, and Bowser Jr. still wants to take on Mario despite his dad lying to him about the whole thing. That is a lot of plot in a Mario game, let me tell you. Oddly enough, it is actually pretty decent storytelling too, with each world's plot tying in with the overarching plot, and all showing how much of a threat Shadow Mario is to this island. Even uses the pollution locations to help you tell a story. Like being able to see which ship Gooper Blooper was in before actually going and fighting him. And being able to tell Shadow Mario was definitely in the same ship if you clean up all the oil in that particular spot. I love details like this in storytelling, and it is done really well. Wow, a plus for a plot in a Mario game. Hopefully the characterization is just as nicely written, and we will be...
No. I was gonna say just as good, but sadly you get the Pientas for characters. These creatures are all judgmental, dumb, and brash. Their court system sucks, their cops are lazy, and some of the Pientas seem to think all you want to do is to be picked up and thrown. Some even admit to tricking you into helping them, proving they aren't colorblind at all, just petty and lazy. There are some decent Pientas, like the guy who can't swim and is trapped on a small island near the main hub city. But no one cares about him, nor do they care about fellow Pientas on fire, not that some of those Pientas are all that bright to begin with, since typically water is always nearby. Jeez, I don't mean to sound like Trump here, but a large amount of these characters are just dislikable. And the nicer ones, honestly, you never have to talk to. They're all optional unless you are absolutely lost. If you like talking to people, though, each Pienta does have their own personality, and most of the ones say different things depending on the mission. Or part. It kind of completes the overall story mechanic if you think about it. There are also the Nokis, little people in shells that never return outside of this game. They are smaller, cute, and often polite. From building theme parks to being able to see Mario isn't the cause of all their problems, I tend to like these guys more. They are generally more helpful as well. As for the main characters, Princess Peach is still a dipstick, confused as ever.
Mama Peach? I'm your mama? That's Shadow.
And Mario is just a piece of driftwood. The new Toadsworth isn't much better, obsessive over the princess's protection, and the Toads are just sort of there. The only real character is Shadow Mario and Bowser Jr., and they are the villains. Still nicer than the Pientas you have to talk to, though. While the Pientas are mostly jerks, they are well written and consistent at the very least, and the Nokis making helping the island more worthwhile. It's just, it would have been nicer to actually have more likable characters, since you're supposed to be helping these good-for-nothings, and the main characters could have been a bit more fleshed out with a deeper story. But at least Bowser Jr. gets his time to shine, and at least the Nokis are relatively pleasant to talk to. Now that I'm done ranting and raving about the writing, let's talk about the gameplay. Mario has most of his tricks from Mario 64, excluding the long jump, which is indeed missed, and the backwards somersault, which wasn't missed oddly enough. This is largely because of Mario's new moves involving Flood. Flood is a water pump that Mario carries on his back. This new machine can spray water to clean gunk, or attack. Use a hover nozzle to hover, or use one of the other two power-up-like nozzles to rocket jump or turbo glide. The rocket jump also lets you do a huge ground pound, breaking things normal ground pounds wouldn't. Water can be used with all of Mario's other abilities as well, allowing for some awesome maneuverability and some gunk cleaning moves like using Flood with Mario's new spin jump attack, though I rarely found a use for this. All of this works incredibly well, but the rocket nozzles and turbo nozzles aren't nearly as useful as any time you could use them. They often aren't available, and you have to pick which nozzle you use, gaining either the rocket or turbo nozzle, which also replaces the hover nozzle. And you will have to go find the hover nozzle box just to use that again. It is an issue, but a small one, as some of these nozzles in certain missions would be broken, so it makes sense. The only other gripe I have is swimming is incredibly awkward, slow, and clunky, which sucks because sometimes enemies are faster than you when they're underwater. But all in all, gameplay works really nice. There is one more issue, but I'd rather save that for the level design section of this review. Speaking of which, I think I'll start out with the good first, though, since I like to be positive, and I'm totally not a supervillain at all.
Now, Mario, you're not going to tell everyone about how I stole all the shine sprites and left Isle Delfino to die. Hey, look at my new sword! How cool, huh? It's from Bleach. Yeah!
Anyway, the levels are mostly really awesome. While 5 of the levels have some type of beach setting in them, the levels themselves are varied enough to make this mostly a non-issue. One of these levels is a massive amusement park, while the other one is a really large and rather haunted hotel. The actual beach level, where the beach is the main setting, is actually still a varied enough set piece to be different. I should mention it here that some of these levels are rather large and open, but the mission structure itself is incredibly linear, which is kind of odd. You can't really get shine sprites out of the intended order, excluding some of the secret optional ones, and maybe one at the very beginning. This isn't too bad. Some of the missions aren't that great, but most of them are pretty good, especially the boss fights. Yes, main Mario games typically suffered when it came to the boss. Either the fights felt too similar or were just too plain easy. Well, here's where things get a little shaken up. The only repeating boss fight that's too similar would be Gooper Blooper, who's fought a total of 3 times on slightly altered sized platforms. It's not great. Petey Piranha is fought twice, but his second fight is way better than his first. Wiggler's fought once, and this time he is huge. And Monty Mole's fought twice, but the setting kinda makes up for his similar tactics. There's even a Mecha Bowser fight, which is really cool. A little easy, but really cool. The only really bad boss fight would probably be Bowser towards the end of the game, where you're fighting his hot tub more than him. Speaking of the end game, there is a boat section there that you have to cross. In all other levels, not including a secret shine, boats are pretty optional. But here, it's needed to cross lava. The boat sucks. You use the spray nozzle to navigate, but honestly, it functions horrifically. It is so awkward, and at times the boat will do whatever it wants, which sucks when there's a wall too close nearby, as one tiny tap on any object will kill your boat and most likely you. Yeah, Mario doesn't bounce on lava in this game like he did in previous games. You have options to use this mechanic in other levels, but none of them are fully required outside of maybe some optional shine sprites. And if you've never played the game, you're probably wondering what I mean by optional shine sprites. Unlike Mario 64, in which you just collect a certain amount of stars and it doesn't matter which ones you get,
Here you need to beat Mission 7 in every level. That is the mission in which you chase down Shadow Mario, who's better than you at platforming, and spray him down. He loses, you get the Shine Sprite, and leave the level. You also have to beat him in the hub world, which I'll get into in a sec, and you have to beat him multiple times here too. I wouldn't call it a boss fight per se, even as Shadow Mario just mostly runs from you, and his only attack is usually stage obstacles, or in one instance he leaves a trail of lava behind himself. Other than that, he's mostly avoiding you and probably doing a pretty good job at it too.
You have to do this 7 times for all 7 stages, meaning your shine count at the very least will be 50, 49 from the stages and 1 from the airport area. When you start the game, you are greeted with a small tutorial airport level in which you fight a goop version of the classic Piranha Plant. You only ever fight one again for a Shine Sprite, which is in the first level, but you do fight these things in the hub world to unlock new worlds, and while they take more hits, they don't really get much harder, which makes the start of the game really slow. Ugh. You know what? This is a lot to go over, isn't it? Let's recap so my constant ramblings don't confuse too many people. Each level is different enough to stand out despite the beach setting. Most shine missions that you have to do are pretty fun, and most of the boss fights fought for a Shine Sprite are fun and exciting, repeating far less than the bosses of the past. The bad, however, is the Shadow Mario fights that constantly happen, 11 times to be specific, and the gunk plants from the main hub world, which happens 5 times near the start of the game. And there are a few of the Shine missions that can be a pain, like the Secret of the Mushroom mission in Pianta Village, or riding on the Sandbird. There are also some times that the levels can be harder simply because Flood is taken away. These aren't cheap, they're just difficulty spikes. I find them personally really fun, but they can be frustrating for new-time players. While Shadow Mario can be boring, the start is pretty slow, and the rest of the main levels and missions are fantastic. Difficult at times, but fantastic. These make up for the issues rather well, making the level design an overall positive experience. But Sauron, I hear the one person who is watching my video and hasn't actually played this game, saying, aren't there 8 missions at every level? And I say to you, 1, if you haven't played this game, how would you know that? And 2, yes, but the 8th mission in every single level is 100% optional. You will never need these missions in beating the game, but what are they like? They're mostly not bad, and sometimes can be really fun. Most of them are collecting red coins, one of them is a pain-in-the-rear roller coaster shooting gallery. Takes a little bit to get used to it. And there is a pain watermelon moving mission. That one is very frustrating. But most of them are fun and challenging. There's also a secret Shine Sprite you can get, sometimes by going back into areas that Flood was taken away from. And it has you collecting red coins, this time with Flood on your back. Or in some cases, finding a hidden shine painting. One of these is actually finding a golden bird and spraying it with water, because that just sounds so obvious and completely not cryptic at all, right? You can also get Shine Sprites by collecting 100 coins. And these are just awful. Some levels it's pretty easy to gain the 100 coins, and some you wouldn't really want to bother with. I sure as hell didn't. Coins are far sparser than in Mario 64, and in some levels, especially later levels, there are only a few missions in each level that can net you 100 coins. At the very least. This can be frustrating and annoying, which is why I skip them for the most part. There's also Shine Sprites in Isle Delfino Plaza, which are somewhat annoying. Some of them are cleaning bells or mini games, but there are some in heavily hidden secret areas. Getting to some of these can be cryptic and annoying, and the hidden mission itself typically isn't much better. Like a gambling machine with weird and messed up physics, to another boat-like level collecting red coins, and heaven forbid if you take too long or hit a wall, because you will die in this river of poison. It would almost be worse than Corona Mountain if there wasn't blue coins there. Oh, right, yes, blue coins are back. But you're collecting them for nothing more than more freaking shine sprites. And the blue coin locations can be even more cryptic and highly annoying, almost requiring a guidebook of some type for a 100% run. Side questing mostly sucks. There's a few good missions, but it mostly sucks in this game. Secrets? Sure. Collect 30 shine sprites, less than what you need to actually beat the game, and you can have a guy give you sunglasses, which tints the screen and makes Mario look kinda cool. Beat the game and he'll also give you a shine sprite shirt, which looks cool. Also, after beating the game, you can visit the airport again to gain red coin, shine sprite, and a blue coin, as well as a great place to have the 100 coins for the hub world, Delfino Plaza, because the airport and Delfino Plaza for some reason count towards the same 100 coin goal. That's it. There is a small image that you can find for beating the game 100% that you could also just Google and find the same stinking thing without going through all the pain and misery. Because you will have to find 240 blue coins and 120 shine sprites just to get it in game. Honestly, this lackluster reward in general just hurts. It's worse than just getting a slot machine for completing Mario 64 DS, for crap's sake. Beating the side quests is not needed, nor, for the most part, is it even fun in most instances. It's okay to go up for the 8th mission, and maybe even find some of the secret shine sprites, but for the most part, the challenge, the difficulty, and the bullcrap that you will have to endure is not worth it in the end. Mario does look great in that outfit though, doesn't he? Overall, I find it difficult to recommend Super Mario Sunshine to everyone. The story is good for a Mario game and the gameplay is fantastic. Most of the levels and the boss fights are pretty fantastic, and there's some fun side missions. There's a few things to unlock even, but some of the side missions are just bad. There's level flaws that just make you tilt your head and wonder how. And the mission structure, which makes little sense and limits exploration. Plus some mini-boss fights that are incredibly repetitive on their finest day. Ugh. None of the character writing is worth noting either, excluding Bowser Jr., who is at least somewhat interesting, and maybe one or two of the Nokis. Super Mario Sunshine gets a 6 out of 10. It's a decent game, but not something I'd recommend rushing out and getting right away by any means. Something to rent first, or pick up for really cheap if you aren't a huge fan of Mario, or just getting into platforming in general. Although if you are a fan of Mario, I do recommend checking it out eventually. There are better Mario games out there for sure. This isn't bad. It's functioning. There's definitely some potential here, and there's definitely some good to it. While there might be better Mario games out there, I still have some personal bias towards this game that might differ a little bit with what I'm saying in my review. So, tomorrow, assuming you found this video day one, there will be a link in the description below that, takes you to my memory card lounge, where I sit and discuss my own personal history and experience with the game. Also, down below, there should be some links to my Twitter and Facebook if you want to hear more about the things that I'm going through and, you know, how I'm doing. Sure! Meet the guy behind Sauron. As always, if you like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you feel a need to subscribe, that subscribe button's down there. It could use some company for sure. And, as always, I will catch you guys in the next video. Now, the next video won't necessarily be Super Mario Galaxy, but that will definitely be the next review that I'm going to do. Again, I apologize for any issues with audio. My microphone bit the dust, and I'm currently jimmy rigging a cell phone to record audio. It's not fun, it's not pleasant, and I don't like it either. But the show must go on, and I'd rather eventually get done with my Mario marathon here so I can move on to other things, like Five Nights at Freddy's, or Devil May Cry, or Assassin's Creed, or something other than Mario. I love Mario, I don't get me wrong, but, you know. Until next time, this is Sauron, over and out. Take care, my minions. For those of you tuning in, you know dang good and well what's going on here. I took every blue coin and shine sprite. I skipped most of the quest lines, but I just killed everyone. It's not as if that island can survive. More than likely it'll turn into some little hodive. We'll call it Rogueport or some abysmal name like that. Anyway, I now have a bunch of coins, shine sprites, and Flood by my side. Also, new development, Wario from Mario 64 DS has decided to join me in my expeditions. He's looking over my things while I'm in space. If you want the full list of treasure down below, feel free to look. Take care.